Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price has seen a perfect bounce along this range of support, and we're currently testing this important range of resistance. In just a moment, I'll be going over some brand new price targets for Bitcoin moving forward, and later in the video, I'll be covering the fact that the funding rates have decreased since where they were yesterday, which is more of a bullish sign. And on top of all of that, we've got something very interesting playing out right now in the Bitcoin order books, which is revealing some new levels of support and resistance to pay attention to. So make sure you're watching all the way to the end of this video so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, make sure to drop a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get straight into what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame. And as you can see, since yesterday, Bitcoin has seen a bounce from this range of support that we were talking about yesterday, right up into the exact point of resistance that I was also talking about over the past few days. So first of all, this support that we were talking about was basically between 60,000 and around 59k. And the reason why I was looking at that level as support is obviously because 60,000 has been a pretty decent amount of support for Bitcoin over the past 1 week approximately. And on top of that, we've got the 100 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart, which yesterday it was coming in close to 59,000, but right now it's at more like 59,500. And that's pretty much exactly where Bitcoin bottomed out, right in between those two major support levels. And zooming further out on the Bitcoin chart, as you can see, during the end of July leading into the entire month of August, Bitcoin had multiple pullbacks along that uptrend. And as you can see, every single pullback saw a perfect bounce along the 100 exponential moving average on the 4-hour time frame. And what's very interesting as well, if you're measuring from top to bottom of these pullbacks, pretty much all of these pullbacks lasted for around 4 days in length before we started heading back to the upside again. And as you can see right now, from top to where we actually bounced, where we hit that bottom so far at least, that's been pretty much exactly 4 days. So now what Bitcoin has to do is simply break above this range of resistance, which is once again starting at around 63,000 and going up towards 65,000. This is also a range of resistance that we were talking about here on the cryptowrld channel before we even found perfect resistance back here. But bringing out the price oscillators, one thing that is great to see right now is the fact that we've just had a bullish cross in the 4-hour MACD. And the last time we saw a decent bullish cross like this in the 4-hour MACD after any sort of pullback was right back here. That was during the middle of October after Bitcoin pulled back from around 58,000 down towards around 54,000. And then the moments that we saw that bullish cross again in the 4-hour MACD, that set up the next move for Bitcoin, which was from around 54,000 all the way up towards 63,000 US dollars. So from the bottom of that pullback to the top of the next move before we entered that sideways consolidation, you're talking about a 16% gain. But from the point where we actually saw this bullish cross, if I'm putting a vertical line right there, then from that point we saw around another 9% gain to the upside before we entered another consolidation range. So what would happen if Bitcoin played out something similar? Well, measuring a 16% gain from the bottom just recently, that would put Bitcoin towards 69,000 US dollars, and from the current price, a 9% gain would also put us towards around 68 to 69,000 US dollars, which obviously would be just above the all-time high, which by the way, the all-time high is currently coming in at just above 67k. So those are a few of the important levels to the upside that I'm currently paying attention to, but keep in mind that those higher price targets obviously don't come into play until we can finally break above this immediate point of resistance. Now, when we're zooming out on the daily Bitcoin chart, and what we can see here in the MACD is the fact that we've seen a bearish cross over the past 1 to 2 days. So does that mean that we're going to be looking really bearish on the daily chart? Well, not necessarily, because if you're looking at the momentum of this bearish cross, right now it isn't anything too significant. The MACD, for example, is almost going sideways, and the histogram is barely heading to the downside, even though we are in the red territory. And we actually saw a bearish cross exactly like the one that we're seeing right now on the daily chart, all the way back here in the middle of that uptrend during August. As you can see right here in the middle of August 2021, the Bitcoin price was in the middle of a daily uptrend, but we were having a short-term cool-off. And what you'll see here, if I bring out the MACD a little bit further, as you can see, we actually saw a bearish cross at that exact moment that we were actually hitting that exponential moving average, which was the exact moment that the price was actually bottoming out. So that bearish cross in the daily chart only lasted for around 4 days before we saw another small bullish cross, which then then led into another bearish cross around 3 days later. And at that point, that is when Bitcoin started to lose a little bit more momentum leading into September. But obviously back then it was a different time to where we are right now. But it's certainly something to pay attention to because we're seeing multiple similarities. For example, that weak bearish cross on the daily chart, the perfect bounce from the 100 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and also taking a quick look at the RSI. What we can see here, if I map out a horizontal line at the exact value that the RSI bottomed out on the daily time frame when we were getting ready for another move to the upside. And if I'm going over to the present day, as you can see, we're seeing pretty much the exact same thing in the RSI. Right now on the daily chart, we've come down to almost the exact same value as what we did the last time round. We've also seen a weak bearish cross in the daily MACD and a perfect bounce from the 100 EMA on that 4-hour time frame. So what does this mean for Bitcoin? Well, it means that even though Bitcoin has seen a bearish cross on the daily MACD, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be more bearish on the daily time frame because we're still in a very strong uptrend when you're zooming out on the bigger picture. The main thing for the bulls to focus on right now is honestly just getting above this range of resistance. And then the final hurdle is, of course, breaking above the all-time high. If we do end up seeing some sort of rejection from this range of resistance, then I would be looking towards this level of support again, which is coming in at around 60,000 US dollars. Now taking a quick look at the Bitcoin funding rates across all of these exchanges, and what we're seeing right now is actually a decline in the funding rates from where we were just yesterday. I let you guys know yesterday that the fact that we saw an increase in the funding rates while the price wasn't really doing anything, that was technically a little bit of a warning signal starting to form, because as the price goes to the downside, really we need to see the funding rates go to the downside, because when that's happening, that is the sign that the correction is working, the shakeout is actually working, because on the lower funding rates, we're seeing less long positions. So as I mentioned yesterday, if that were to continue, if we continue to see an increase in funding rates while the price really didn't do anything, then that would simply mean that we would be increasing our risk of potentially some short-term bearish price action, perhaps a risk of a shakeout, the longer that goes on. But I let you guys know yesterday that if we see a decrease in the funding rates, then that is a good sign. That is a bullish sign. And luckily, that is exactly what we've seen over the past 24 hours. Once again, we've seen a decrease in the funding rates, which is now giving us more room to the upside because it's actually cheaper to hold a long position right now compared to what it was just yesterday. Now giving you a quick update on the Bitcoin order books right now across all of these exchanges. What we're seeing right now is something very interesting. We're seeing quite significant buy wars and sell wars. Getting straight into the buy orders, we've got a whole lot of buy orders coming in at exactly 59,000 US dollars, which is that 100 EMA that I was talking about yesterday. And then anything lower than 59K, we've got a huge amount of buy orders coming in at exactly 58K. So that is a huge amount of support holding up the Bitcoin price in case we do go down towards those lower $60,000 levels again. But then taking a look at the sell orders, what we're seeing right now is a decent increase in the sell orders starting at around 65,500 US dollars, leading all the way up towards 66,000. So that $500 price range could act as a little bit of resistance in the short term. But really the main sell wall for Bitcoin, at least across these exchanges, is coming in at pretty much exactly 67,000 US dollars, which is basically that all-time high level. But obviously, if you're looking here to the upside above 67K, the sell orders drop off quite a lot, meaning that there's no major resistance above the all-time high, at least immediately on the other side. So I would expect a pretty volatile move to the upside once we can finally crack above that 67K level of resistance. And another important reason why Bitcoin needs to get above this range of resistance sometime soon is because if we actually get some sort of rejection here, then that could form a potential right shoulder for this head and shoulders pattern. We've already seen the left shoulder, we've already seen the head, and right now we're potentially forming a right shoulder, but obviously this pattern is not confirmed yet. I want to make that clear. It's just something to potentially look out for in case we do see a rejection here. So that is why it's important that Bitcoin can finally get above this resistance, because if Bitcoin can get above that range of resistance, then obviously that would cancel out any sort of head and shoulders pattern that is forming. And for the new viewers on the channel, in case you don't already know, I've got a Twitter account giving you guys extra updates throughout the day in real time as these things are happening. For example, the moment we saw that bullish cross in the 4-hour MACD, I let you guys know right away over on my Twitter. So definitely make sure you follow me over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video or got something valuable out of it, make sure to drop a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this one. We're actually getting really close to 80,000 subscribers right now, and I can't thank you guys enough. Seriously, I appreciate every single one of you. And for the new viewers on the channel, before you're clicking off, make sure you're checking out one of these uploads if you haven't already. In the top left, you'll find a trading tutorial video showing you how I trade Bitcoin, and in the bottom left, you'll find a passive income video showing you how I earn passive income every day in the crypto markets. But anyway, that is really everything I have to say for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.